We're digging into the Tech Ctrl+Alt+Read newsletter. This is the May 23rd, 2025 edition, number 8.
That's the one.
We've got a whole bunch of sources pulled from it, and right up top, the headline everyone's talking about. OpenAI's major moves, UAE partnership and acquisition of Jony Ive's startup.
Yeah, this edition is absolutely packed, and our goal here really is to help you navigate all these updates. We want to cut through the noise a bit,
Right.
figure out what's really important, unpack the key bits, and, connect the dots across all this news. See the bigger picture in tech right now.
Okay, let's do it. Let's start right there then with those big OpenAI headlines. They're certainly making some serious waves.
Absolutely. So the first one is this huge infrastructure play. OpenAI is working with the UAE on something called Stargate.
Stargate, okay.
And this isn't just like any old data center. We're talking a planned $20 billion, 1 gigawatt facility in Abu Dhabi.
1 gigawatt, wow.
Yeah, I mean, think about that scale. A gigawatt. That's enough power for hundreds of thousands of homes. It really shows the massive energy needs for training these top AI models.
And who's involved in this?
It's a pretty heavyweight group. G42, Oracle, NVIDIA, Cisco, and SoftBank. And the goal seems pretty clear. Position the UAE as potentially the first country to offer nationwide access to ChatGPT.
$20 billion for one data center project. Yeah. That really speaks volumes about where the money's flowing, doesn't it?
It really does.
And the second big move, completely different, but maybe even more surprising. OpenAI buying I/O.
Right, that's the AI hardware startup from Jony Ive, the Apple design legend.
Yeah.
And the price tag was pretty significant, $6.5 billion.
$6.5 billion, okay.
And the key thing here is who they're getting. Ive and his team are coming into OpenAI specifically to lead the design of AI-native consumer devices.
So this is a huge pivot for them.
Massive. OpenAI, known for software, for models, now jumping headfirst into hardware.
It's not just building the brains anymore. They want to build the body too, I guess.
Exactly.
It suggests this vision where AI isn't just on your phone or computer, but maybe in totally new kinds of devices built for AI from the ground up.
Precisely. And it makes you wonder, what does an AI native device even look like?
Right.
It's early days, obviously, but bring in someone like Ive, his design thinking, it signals they're serious about making whatever's next feel, intuitive. Consumer-friendly.
Okay, so beyond these two massive stories, the newsletter covers a ton of other ground. Let's shift gears. How about startups emerging, VCs, funding? What's the pulse check there?
Well, there's still heavy investment, especially tied to AI infrastructure. CoreWeave, for instance.
The AI cloud provider.
They secured an amazing $2 billion. But interestingly, it wasn't equity. It was an upsized high-yield bond offering.
A bond offering for infrastructure expansion.
Yeah, using debt like that, at that scale, it tells you investors are pretty confident in the predictable revenue coming from AI compute demand.
That kind of financing. It really shows how mature, or at least how stable, the AI infrastructure market is starting to look.
Exactly. Then on the VC side, Redpoint Ventures raised $650 million for a new early-stage fund. It's their first in 3 years.
Okay.
So after maybe a quieter couple of years for early stage overall, a fund this size suggests, renewed optimism. They're looking for the next wave, probably lots of AI ideas in there.
And it's not just U.S. focused, right? Headline, Asia closed a $145 million fund for Asia Pacific.
That's right. Shows the confidence isn't limited geographically. Oh, and there was a notable prediction, too.
What was that?
Brokerage analysts predicting Waymo Alphabet's self-driving car unit could see its valuations soar, potentially hitting $75 billion by next year.
$75 billion. Wow. That's a big bet on autonomous driving's future.
Definitely. And Meta's trying to nurture the ecosystem, too. They launched the Llama Startup Program.
Right. To support companies using their Llama models.
Exactly. Helping companies build on top of their open source models. Clear move to drive adoption.
Okay, so from funding, let's move to strategy. Acquisitions, IPO, corporate strategy. What stood out there?
Well, 𝐄𝐩𝐢, the enterprise AI startup, they bought AutoGrid.
AutoGrid, or market research.
Yeah, looks like 𝐄𝐩𝐢 is adding data or maybe some capabilities to beef up their offerings for big companies.
Makes sense.
And then there was a really interesting one, data-wise. Regeneron, the pharma giant, is buying 23andMe.
The genetic testing company. For how much?
$256 million. And the newsletter specifically mentioned this deal includes access to all that customer genetic and health data.
Wow, that's a gold mine for Regeneron's research, I imagine, connecting genes to health outcomes.
Absolutely. Incredibly valuable for drug discovery.
Yeah.
But it also, highlights how valuable that personal data collected by services like 23andMe has become.
Definitely raises questions there. What else on strategy?
Brex, the corporate card company, teamed up with Zip, who used to be a rival.
Interesting pairing.
It seems like a strategic move for efficiency. Cut cash burn for both, maybe speed up Brex's path to an IPO by streamlining things.
And then there were layoffs too, right? Microsoft?
Yeah, Microsoft laying off about 6,000 employees. That's around 3% of their global workforce.
And they linked it to AI.
The stated reason, connected it to accelerating automation with AI, which is notable.
It really underscores the immediate impact AI is having, even on big established companies and their structures.
It does. Oh, and one interesting board move. Chipotle's president, Jack Hartung, joined Tesla's board.
Tesla, ahead of their diner launch.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Suggests they want his restaurant and hospitality expertise for that Tesla diner project.
Okay, let's zoom in specifically on tech AI now. Beyond OpenAI, what else is happening in the AI space?
Well, OpenAI didn't stop there. They launched Codex right inside ChatGPT.
Their coding agent.
Yep, making AI coding help more accessible in their main product.
And Sam Altman apparently mentioned wanting to ship like 100 million AI companions.
Companions, like specialized AI agents.
That seems to be the vision, widespread personal AI assistance.
What about Google? Google's pushing ahead with its own agents. They launched Project Mariner and standalone Notebook LM apps.
Right.
These have new AI agents, including a version of their Gemma model that can actually run on your phone. The idea is to improve web browsing, info processing, right there on the device.
And Perplexity got to mention.
Yeah, highlighted for rapid growth in search and discovery, but the newsletter also flagged concerns about their costs.
Right, the cost of AI compute, sustainability questions.
Exactly. Microsoft also chose Anthropic to help enhance GitHub's AI coding tools, building on Copilot.
So they're using external models there too.
Yep. And Meta's backing up its AI push with sustainable energy, adding 650 megawatts of new solar power capacity.
Wow, that just hammers home the energy demand, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the need to make it greener.
Definitely.
Okay, shifting slightly to tech, general, apps. What else caught your eye?
Well, Google's still working on smarter glasses, pushing augmented reality, trying to improve that wearable user experience.
I'm still trying to crack that nut.
Seems so. On the other side, Mozilla is shutting down Pocket, their Read It Later app.
Oh, really? I use Pocket. Shame.
Yeah, sometimes even useful services get the axe. Microsoft unveiled Edit at Build 2025, an open-source, lightweight command-line text editor for Windows 11. Kind of a cool little tool for developers and power users.
And Uber's expanding in India.
Yeah, planning to get into B2B logistics there, using a state-backed open commerce network, leveraging their logistics know-how beyond just rides and food.
Smart. And Nike's back on Amazon.
First time since 2019. Seems like an expansion of their direct-to-consumer strategy, not a replacement, just acknowledging Amazon's reach.
Gotcha. Okay, let's hit cloud, the backbone for so much of this.
Right. And big money continues to flow there. JP Morgan committed over $7 billion, and Blue Owl is putting more money towards OpenAI's data center projects, one noted in Texas.
Again, just massive capital pouring into the physical AI infrastructure.
Absolutely. Google's also still focused on sustainable energy for its cloud, finalizing another big solar power deal for its data centers.
Good to see.
And we saw Red Hat and AMD deepening their collaboration, focused on AI in hybrid cloud setups.
Integrating on-prem and public cloud.
Exactly. Dell also launched a new private cloud package specifically for enterprise AI for those who need it on-premise.
And Marsh McLennan. Big migration.
Yeah, huge professional services firm announcing plans for a massive shift of their on-prem stuff to AWS. That trend just continues.
Okay, how about security? Always critical.
Well, Microsoft's fighting malware. They cracked down on something called Luma Stealer, found on nearly 400,000 PCs.
400,000, that's a lot.
Tells you the scale of the threat landscape.
Yeah.
Signal, the messaging app, added a cool privacy feature on Windows.
What's that?
It blocks system screenshot capture of chats, just makes it harder to easily grab conversations.
Smart.
In a different angle, the newsletter mentioned growing anxiety among the crypto elite about personal safety, real-world threats linked to digital assets.
Yeah, you hear stories.
Google also unveiled new Android security features against scams and device theft, trying to stay ahead.
And Anthropic, AI safety.
Yeah, they launched Claude Opus 4, their most advanced model, they say, with a big focus on enhanced safety measures.
Good to see that focus alongside capability. All right, hardware, semiconductor chip industry, where the compute power originates.
Hyperdynamic space. NVIDIA is reportedly talking about investing in quantum.
Quantum computing.
Yeah, maybe a sign of where NVIDIA sees the really long-term future beyond classical chips.
Interesting. Intel considering a sale?
Reportedly considering selling its networking and edge unit.
Yeah.
Maybe some restructuring, refocusing.
And AMD sold a business.
Yeah, a $3 billion deal to sell ZT Systems' server manufacturing business, shedding a less core asset, perhaps.
Meanwhile, Foxconn's expanding in India for Apple chips.
Yep, got approval for a $435 million project there, part of that ongoing geographical diversification of chip making.
And a new player, Cognichip.
Came out of stealth. Their angle is using generative AI itself to help design chips.
Whoa. AI designing the hardware AI runs on. That's pretty meta.
Isn't it? Fascinating stuff.
Okay, almost there. Let's touch on fintech.
Right. The newsletter noted banks are rapidly embracing crypto, getting ready for regulatory changes.
Traditional finance getting positioned.
Seems like it. Coinbase confirmed a data breach, though. Impacted at least 69,000 customers.
Oof. A reminder of the risks.
Definitely. Chime's strategy hit a snag. Their payday lending approach reportedly backfired, hurting their finances.
A cautionary tale there.
And Robinhood's expanding, buying a Canadian crypto firm, WonderFi, for $250 million, growing in Canada.
And Klarna? Doing well with AI.
Apparently so. Revenue per employee jumped to nearly $1 million. They credited AI-driven efficiency boosts.
Impressive efficiency gains. The newsletter also listed conferences and podcasts.
Yeah, just a snapshot of where the industry gathers and talks. Events like IORA for robotics, Computex for hardware, Web Summit, Dell Tech World.
Places where these trends get discussed live.
Exactly. And podcasts like A6E's, This Week in Startups, TechCrunch, Y Combinator, 20VC, showing where a lot of these ongoing conversations are happening.
Cool. And finally, there was a practical tech tip of the week.
Ah, yes.
What was it?
It was about turning on your PC remotely using Wake on LAN.
Wake on LAN, how does it work?
Basically, you enable it in your computer's BIOS settings and network adapter settings. Then you can send a special network signal, a magic packet, to power it on, even if it's off.
Huh. So you could access your home PC from somewhere else.
Exactly. Pretty useful if you need to grab a file or run something remotely.
Neat tip.
Oh.
Okay, so let's try and wrap our heads around all this. We've covered a lot. A tech landscape just moving incredibly fast, mostly fueled by AI, it seems.
Yeah, if you try to connect it to the bigger picture, the sheer scale of investment, especially in AI infrastructure, like those data centers, it's just enormous, huge bets being placed.
Right.
And then OpenAI's move into hardware with 𝐄𝐩𝐢𝐬, that signals a potential future beyond just screens for how we interact with AI, maybe entirely new kinds of devices.
And you really see how interconnected everything is, don't you? Funding fuels the infrastructure.
Which enables more powerful AI models.
Which then drives corporate strategy changes, like automation, maybe layoffs.
And sparks innovation in hardware.
While security and privacy remain these constant critical concerns throughout.
Exactly. It all ties together. And maybe this raises an interesting question for you, listening, to think about.
Okay.
If AI is getting so advanced, it can help design chips, and it's potentially going into new physical devices designed specifically for it. How might this deeper integration of AI into our physical world, into our daily devices, change our relationship with technology in ways we haven't even really thought about yet? What are the unforeseen challenges or opportunities there?
That's definitely something to mull over. Integrating AI, not just digitally, but physically. What does that really mean down the line?
Yeah.
Well, this deep dive into the Tech Ctrl+Alt+Read newsletter has certainly given us a ton to process. From billion-dollar data centers and AI hardware pivots to chip shifts and remote PC tricks.
Hopefully breaking it down helps give you a clearer picture of where things stand and maybe where they're headed.
We hope so. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.